Hello, everyone. This is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike, and also Wade, Dan, and Steve. What? Yes. Mike?
Yes, hello. How's it
Nice
going,
to
Dale?
see you. Good to see you. And
Yes.
and also want to say hello to Wade, Dan, and Steve. Hello,
Hi,
gentlemen.
guys. Hello.
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 So Wade, Dan, and Steve are with County Fire and gentlemen, County Fire and
Security.
Security. Thank you. It's a good thing that they know. And we will, last night, we got a chance to see what the county commissioners had to say, along with Wally Hicks, about a new set of standards that they would like to impose on fire services in Josephine County. And there's some thought that perhaps this would be kind of edging out this company or that company. And we wanted to have the fellows from, it used to be called Inland, now it's called County Fire and Security, and we wanted to have them on, Mike, so that they would get their chance to say things. And we watched the videotape and we made our comments. We asked the videotape questions and it refused to answer. But these guys will be much easier to get along with, right, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, and you know, one of the questions that I had when watching the tape, and you know, see, I don't know what your guys' position is in all of this, but it seemed as though there was someone there at the table with the commissioners and seemed to be representing all of fighter services within the county. And I thought, well, I don't know that everybody who is a firefighter in the county or has a fire service in the county is in agreement with that. Do you think that the county being involved in the setting of standards is discriminatory in any way? What's your angle on that?
Well, if you're asking about when we were informed or how we were brought into the loop in regards to this rules and regs, is what they're calling it, or if you call it like what it says all throughout, it would be a a franchise. I mean, it says that quite a bit in here, and an ordinance in reference to the franchise. So there's a very small section in there in regards to the rules or qualifications that they want to hold the fire departments to a certain level. So when we looked at this, kind of back up just a little bit, is we were informed that 5 out of the 6 fire departments were consulted on this ordinance. I'm just going to call it an ordinance. I'm not calling it rules and regs. So 5 out of the 6 fire departments were consulted on this ordinance, and apparently we were number 6. So we first gained knowledge of this ordinance Friday from a certified letter that our guys opened at our office on Thursday. We came back from a wildfire and came back on Friday. I opened that up on Friday before Labor Day weekend, and it was addressed by Jenny Hall, the 911, I'm sorry, not 911, the
Emergency Services.
Yeah, Emergency Services Manager. Apologize, I know she's on one of my stacks here somewhere, but so we received that document, the 12-page document, and so it also had a deadline on there to receive a response back to her by Tuesday. So we had the chance over Labor Day weekend to take a look at it, maybe seek legal counsel over the Labor Day weekend, and then on Tuesday by 5 o'clock end of business day to put together a response back to her to what our thoughts are.
Now, the first time that Lane Johnson, who was from that rogue area group of, I'm sorry, the terminology is not easy on this, the rogue area group of fire service people, when they asked him, well, have you contacted all of them? He says, oh, yes, we have, and we have meetings, and sometimes county fire, who used to be inland, sometimes they just don't show up. Is that wrong?
That is wrong. So the proper terminology is the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. Okay, and so we have put in an application. That application was submitted back, what was that?
June 17th.
June 17th to become a part of that organization. And so since then we've attended two meetings. So they hold a meeting every month. And so we've attended those meetings. It's not just that we don't show up. Number one, we're not a part of that group yet. But as a guest, we did show up to those 2 meetings and then continued. At no time was this document of any sort brought to our attention until the Friday before Labor Day.
How can you not be part of the group? Mike, I'm wondering if they can't be part of the Chiefs organization because they're like not Native Americans or something. What's the problem?
Well, my guess would be that somehow the commissioners are taking their marching orders or getting their information from this Chiefs Association, and since County Fire is not currently a member, they don't include them in
Why the heck wouldn't you be a member of the organization? I don't understand that. Isn't it supposed to be all
well,
of
he
the
just
Chiefs?
explained it.
Well, we put in our application.
Yeah.
And at that time, it didn't appear. The chair to the organization is the Illinois Valley Fire Chief, Dennis Hoke. And so at that time, the bylaws that are written by the chiefs at a long period of time didn't have anything in the bylaws that, number one, would exclude us. And so at that time, it didn't appear that there was going to be any obstacle of allowing us in. Well, since then, as of last week, what was it, on
September 9th.
September 9th, we received from Dennis, upon our request to know what the status is of our involvement to be a part of the Chiefs Association, on where we were at that. He told us in an email, it says that, I explained in previous emails, it is the originators of the Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs Association bylaws years ago had no process for new membership.
What?
Our question, and it says, I am trying to rewrite the bylaws to have a process for review and majority vote. So we're not quite sure how they formed this and who all became members and how Rural Metro got to be a part of it, but it sounds like to me, and again, we don't want to interject anything, but they're writing new bylaws from our application that kind of made this happen. And so now that they're trying to write the new bylaws for whatever the reason is, I'm not quite sure. But we are actively seeking to be a part of that organization. Currently, we're a part of the Oregon Chiefs Association, and that took about a day to get that signed up, and they took your money, that type of stuff. But we've been unsuccessful so far on trying to become a part of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. We're finding out a whole lot of other things of maybe the reason why, but again, we don't want to read too much into it.
Well, what kind of things are you finding out that are the potential reasons why? Maybe Mike's got a better question than that.
Sure. So, go ahead, Mike.
No.
We do have a, okay. So we.
What are these reasons?
and I don't know if these to be true, but one of the concerns that some of the other agencies had in regards to our fire department, again, the inland fire department didn't get along with, I guess, some of the other folks, but we wanted to try to become a part of RETA, which is called the Rogue Interagency Training Association. And so what that does is it allows our guys to train with other guys in the valley and all receive the same type of common training, so then they knew how we were trained, and so that they could feel comfortable working with us. And so we attended one of the, as an invitation from Evans Valley Fire Department, the gentleman gave us an invitation to attend one of their RETA meetings as a guest. And so we attended, there were 6 of us, and so at the end of this meeting we said, man, we'd love to be a part of RETA, that's short for the Rogue Interagency Training Association. And so at that time the response back to us is like, no, you can't be a part of this association until you are on with the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. He says, okay, well then let's start our process on the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. We're like, okay, we'll start that evaluation. So as we submitted in 2013 our application to be a part of 911, and they respond back with some steps. Well, one of the steps is that we have to be a part of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association in order to be able to be a part of 911. We're like, okay, well, there's another stepping stone. And then we put in a request to the city of Grants Pass to purchase water. So if there's a fire hydrant, like out here at the Maroon Industrial Park, there's fire hydrants and stuff, and we're like,
okay, let me guess. You can't do that unless you're a member of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association or something, right?
We got an official letter back from the city of Grants Pass, and says that we cannot be a part of that for the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. So if you're to look at this new rules and regs, what they call it, but it's not. If you look at that, there's a spot in there that the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association that we're not included to be a part of, and whether that happens or not. I don't believe that looking at that document, we would be allowed to be a part of a franchise because we're not a part of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association.
Well, let me ask you, what is the criteria? Is there a stated criteria for being a member of that organization?
No.
There is.
What? No, wait a minute. There's no criteria?
You know what? I'm sorry. I listen. Perhaps for political reasons, you don't necessarily have to agree with this, but that sounds like a good old boys club that is essentially excluding you from the process. In other words, they're going to squeeze you out of doing business by not allowing you membership to this club. I personally would think that if that isn't illegal, it ought to be, unless they can somehow state some criteria or some reason for you not being allowed in the club.
I don't know of any of it because there's another private agency, private fire department, that is a part of that group, and how they ever became a part of that group, to what rules they had to go by or prove, we're not familiar with. All we're trying to do is see how it affects county fire department and what we need to do to continue to maintain service for our customers.
Have you discussed this with any of the other fire departments and said, hey, listen, how did you guys become members of this organization?
The Evans Valley chief was one who had shared the rules, I'm sorry, not the bylaws of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association at the time. And he has been the only person, besides Illinois Valley, who we submitted that to, the chair for the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association. He is the only individual that we submitted that to. But besides him and the Evans Valley Fire Chief, those are the only two. And of course, we have attended the meetings, and we were able to stand up and give our official request, and then we also did it in writing to everybody.
Go ahead.
If I may,
Steve.
When we went to the Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs meeting, we got a copy of a document that is for minimum eligibility standards for private fire service providers. It is the adoption date on it is June 19th, 2014. The review date is going to be June of 2017. The purpose of this is to for an application process. There's 11 steps that they ask you to take to become a member of their organization. So we went through all 11 steps. We have everything that they want, and then we find out that now they're rewriting the bylaws, so we can't become a member of that. But yet we have all 11 steps, all 11 items documented, and have documentation on all 11 items. And that letter was dated June 19th of 2014. So,
now one of the things I'm noticing as you guys are sitting there is that Wade looks like he's ready to gnaw on the furniture. Wade, are you going to weigh in on any of this? Are you going to tell us what's making you so angry that they can barely hold you back, bud?
No, Dan's the face and the mouth of county fire. No, I was just wanting to say what Stephen said, that they had a very preliminary list of steps they wanted us to accomplish, and we did. And then now it seems like they're going to rewrite this bylaws, and we don't know the outcome of that yet.
And so the rewriting of the bylaws post dates your application. In other words, you guys applied, and then they decided they're going to rewrite their bylaws. Is that it?
Absolutely. We had June 17th of 2015, we got an email that says he doesn't seem why there's no issue. I would be surprised if this is not approved. The bylaws as written allows your membership. That was on June 17th. And then we go back to the last one we got, dated June 9th, that said they got to rewrite the bylaws to have a process for review and majority vote. The current bylaws is silent to this issue.
That was September 9th.
September 9th. I'm sorry, yeah. September 9th.
Oh, yeah, and that's interesting because you know, obviously all of these other organizations became a member at some point, and they obviously had a method for admitting those people to this organization at that time. Now,
secret handshake, maybe.
Yes. Is there? Okay, so that is certainly an issue, and is probably ultimately going to exclude you from being. Having met the standards that the commissioners were talking about in that meeting the other day, because obviously one of the standards is that you're a member of this organization, and I'm assuming that they're just going to trust that the organization rejected you for membership for some legitimate reason that would preclude you from meeting the minimum standards.
Yeah.
Is that am I getting this right, or what?
That's the way we take it. That's the way that I look at it all, that all of us look at, that every time they ask us to do something, we do it, and then we run into a block wall, and they have to do something else. Now, I've never seen a set of bylaws yet that, and now they're rewriting the bylaws. I don't think we'll ever see the bylaws.
How helpful you know that Cheryl Walker is liaison to the Emergency Services Manager, and Cheryl Walker plays a very strong role in a lot of things having to do with fire services and air ambulances and such things. She went to the mat for the other Maryland-based company, the one that wanted to do air ambulance services as a subscription base, and now she seems to be, well, let's just say, not going to the mat for you. What's up with Cheryl Walker? Wouldn't she be your natural liaison to what's happening with the county?
We had an appointment with Cheryl Walker. We went in and sat down with her to talk to her, because one of the issues is we need to be in the 911 system. Well, in order to be in the 911 system, you have to be a member of the Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs Association. But they said that there's a cost on it. So we went in to talk to her to find out what's the cost. Just tell us, is it so much a call? Is it so much a month to help pay the dispatchers? What is it? Well, somewhere or another she lost her documentation book that showed what the prices were, and she could never give us a price on what it was really going to cost. So we have no idea. They tell us we have to do this, and we're fine with doing it. We know it's the right thing to do. What's it going to cost? Tell us what it's going to cost so we can move forward.
Okay,
yes.
Maybe this summary is completely wrong. Set me straight. I'm not going to say it's even Mike's summary. It's just mine. Okay, so you have to abide by certain national rules to be firefighters. You have to abide by certain state rules to be firefighters. Why in the heck would the county need some kind of special rules that you have to meet their special minimum standards? Why isn't it enough that there's a federal and state rule?
Well, let us just tell you about our qualifications at County Fire Department, because really that's what this is all about. You know, regardless of other companies or other fire department agencies and stuff, that's truly what's in question, is that they're saying that we are not qualified to do basically what we do and allow our subscribers to sign up for. So, and I've just listed some of them on here and stuff. Is one of the things, we are a part of the Oregon Chiefs Association. I know that might not be as big as the Rogue Valley one. I'm not quite sure. We follow the NFPA guidelines of firefighting. That's the National Fire Protection Association. We are in good standings. We are members of that organization, and we're instructors of the NFPA. And so we also have OSHA. Everybody's familiar with OSHA. The certificates by OSHA that says that we are first responders, and so OSHA, on all of their guidelines and stuff, there's a lot of them to make sure that we're qualified by OSHA. We also have FEMA ICS certificates. We also now have an ISO of 6. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with ISO. ISO is the big one. So ISO is an insurance service organization that goes out and inspects all fire departments in the United States. So when they come out, they do an inspection of everything, your training books, everything that you've trained on, to all of your pieces of equipment, to all of your personal protective gear that you have to wear, to all of your trucks, to their pump certs, to what you carry on the trucks, and they give you a score based on a very long 2-day test. We take them out, we have to show them that we're able to do what they ask of us, and that's the water and the water shuttles. So that it's a huge thing. We had 3 chiefs that came. One was from a retired Roseburg chief. The other one was a retired Klamath Falls chief. The other one was an ISO representative that was a chief for 35 years that came up from Northern California. Was it just those 3? I apologize. So there's those 3 that came up, and they spent a day on taking us out and conducting all this and going through every piece of equipment. And then they had a 4th individual who went through all of our training manuals and everything to it. So out of all of that, when we took over this department in 2012, we had a rating of a 9. Okay? It was a 4-9. A 9 was basically for our coverage area. The 4 only applied to Rendata Industrial Park because they had their own hydrants. And so the 9 applied to everything that we do. And give you an idea, 1 is the best rating that you can get. 10 is the worst. So we started with the 9. Rural Metro at the time had a 6. I believe the city of Grants Pass had a 4 or 3. I'm not 100% sure. And so we had a lot to prove. And so we had received documentation back from the ISO that we have now achieved a 6 for our fire station here in Merlin, and it starts November 1st. And why they have to do that, because they have to give the insurance companies a window of opportunity to adjust people's policies, because they get a discount the lower your rating is.
Sure.
And so we have achieved a 6 for our ISO rating, and we were ecstatic, going, man, that's what rural metros had for the past 10 years. We can't believe it. We were very, very excited, going, man, those credentials alone of getting an ISO 6, we were, and so now our ability come November 1st to sign up lots and lots of customers at our properly priced rate for our fire coverage.
Right.
So,
Okay, I got a question for you. Got a question. There's a little lag here, everybody. So would it be right to say that on November 1, you will be exactly equal with rural metro, or are they a little bit better now? Are they like a 5 now, or are they still a 6?
Yes, they did a new, so did the City of Grants Pass. City of Grants Pass dropped to a 2, and rural metro dropped to a 5.
That's still a little bit better than 5 because 1 is the best. Okay, but you're where they used to be.
Yes, yeah. So we're exactly where they used to be. In this rules and regs, if that's what you call it, they're saying a minimum of an 8. And so as we continue to look at all of our standards that we have to follow and who we report to, we're a part of the American Red Cross. We have instructors that we actually put on classes here for people who want to do first aid and learn how to do first aid. CPR. CPR, I'm sorry. We're approved. We have a state medical, we're approved by the state medical director. We have our own physician, Dr. Ermshire, and he is the one who oversees our fire department. We also have the NWCG, that's for your wildland certificates. They kind of make sure and oversee the wildland firefighting, so if you have a grass fire and things like that. We are approved by them with their own certificates. We have our own EMT firefighters who are not only just EMT, but they also have a supervisor certificate. So that when we start, and we're not doing it now currently, but when we start to move forward on providing any type of EMT service, at that time, then everybody's going to be up to par. But where we're at right now, we're not doing that. Our subscription that you as a homeowner sign up to is for fire coverage for their house specifically. So there's no EMT needed at that time unless we were going to start running vehicle traffic accidents and other types of stuff. But at this time, 911 will not dispatch us out on those, and that's a different story and different ballgame.
Now, Dan, go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So we have also the State Fire Marshal's Office, so the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. We report to them. We just received and I don't know the official, but we have the official document that says, all right, this is our DCIN number.
Data collection identification number.
So that the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, so that we report our calls to them. And so looking at all of this stuff that we're going out on, I mean, I know that you said we're just, a couple of guys with the dog. Well, we got rid of the dog, and we got some really nice fire trucks.
No, I didn't say you were.
So,
say if that's what I want, I get the cheapest insurance to drive a car. I want the cheapest insurance. Okay, so maybe I'm a dunce, but I want that. And so if your customers, if anybody's, not your customers, if anybody's customers, if they want to have the lower price service, they know what they're doing, and if they want two boys and a dog, then shouldn't they be allowed to have that? And what business is it of the county?
Yeah.
And that was given by Jenny Hall, I'm sorry, an objection that she says the reason why they need this type of ordinance or this type of rules and regs is because anybody in their geo metro could find and go out and have people subscribe to her as a fire service provider.
That's what she said.
And I said, well, I don't think there's an issue of that. I don't think we're still trying to figure out, is this truly, what is behind the driving force and why now? And
your
so
prices,
we have
perhaps? Aren't your prices lower than the others? Isn't that really what's bugging everybody? Your prices are lower. You're very competitive.
When at 2012, when me and Wade had the opportunity to take over this fire department, we did a business plan. That business plan based our price off of a 13 cents a square foot. Okay, so you have a house that's 2,000 square foot. We don't care what the value is. We come up with a base price and say, if you're 2,000 square feet, this is what we're going to charge you. We don't care if your house is valued at $500,000 or $200,000. That's not our business. Our business is only what we
Mike has something to say about that.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mike.
I live in the county, and I remember when I first got here around 2003. It was boom time. So there was, it was everything costs more. If you needed a contractor to come to your house, not only were they not going to be there for a long time, but when they did come there, they were really going to nail you. And Rural Metro, who my insurance company required that we have a certain standard and that we be with, and Rural Metro was the one that they said you need to go with Rural Metro. Well, they were setting their prices based on your value assessment, and I thought, wow, that's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with whether my house is going to be hard or easy to work on. I live in a neighborhood where there's some old houses over here. You got newer houses over here, and let me tell you what, some of these older houses, they're fire traps. They're going to go up like crazy, and it's going to be a whole lot harder to put them out than it is mine. I have hardy board siding, it's like concrete siding, and a decent quality comp roof on here that I'm imagining has at least some fire resistance to it. These are not comparable things here.
I have a question for you gentlemen. Now that Mike has alienated all of his neighbors, would you complaining about this now put you even further down on the blacklist with the people who seem to be standing in your way? Just the fact that you're saying something about it, couldn't you get in a lot of trouble?
Well, we're already at the bottom. So, when it comes to providing services for the folks in Josephine County, me and Wade have lived here all our lives. We've got kids, 4 kids each, and he's the North Valley area. I'm the Hinton Valley area. This is where we live. This is where we've been born and raised, and we're staying here. So when it comes time to saying if we're on somebody's list for providing an honest service for an honest price, so be it. This is about what we can provide to our homeowners in Josephine County at a fair and reasonable price. And I don't care if your house is worth $1 million. Your square footage is what we have. And you're exactly right, Mike, is that the new houses being built today have to meet the new standard for building code. And those houses are much safer than, say, a house built in the 60s. So at that same standard, if you're, and I'm not dogging on them on how they charge. They have their own philosophy and all that type of stuff. I'm just saying we do what we know how to do based on the price and the square footage of your house, and we feel that is an honest price for what we offer. And guess what? If people don't, that's why there's a choice. That's why there's a freedom of choice in Josephine County. Is if you want to drive a Cadillac and you want to do whatever you want to do, that's what Josephine County is all about. And so
I love the free market. I love the free market. Let the free market decide. You know, the bottom line is let's say the commissioners and the county decided we don't have a standard. Sooner or later, you know, right here on my smartphone, there'd be a Yelp review that says these guys suck, and here's why. And you know, there'd be a whole bunch of those. You know, there's any number of those. Angie's List. There's a whole bunch of these types of organizations that would tell you, you know, you want to go with these people because they're good and they meet a high standard, and you don't want to go with these people because they suck. You know, I mean, that would all be out there. And so this thing that they're doing, I don't think is necessarily of much value. The one thing that I think that's very clear so far from this is that apparently the people holding the keys to your admission to this organization are your competitors. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Well, you know, that's anti-competitive right there.
Well, when it comes down to it, Mike, is in order to have a mutual aid agreement, okay? So in order to have a mutual aid agreement with any department in this valley, or even Bedford and Jackson County, you have to be a part of the Chiefs Association. But it goes a step further, is that if we apply and say we want a mutual aid agreement with the city of Grants Pass, all it takes is one member of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association to say no, and our application gets denied. So Rural Metro has already made public on the Daily Courier that they will never sign a mutual aid agreement with any private fire department, whether it's us or anybody else. They've made that statement and it's been known. So as we look at saying, all right, 911 hinges a mutual aid agreement on us, saying, all right, we want a mutual aid with the city of Grants Pass. No, can't do that. If we want a mutual aid agreement with anybody, Rural Metro can't be there. They can't be in existence. So our hope of ever being a part of that and going through it, it's all hinged on that one thing. So how can they say that it's not based on, if you want to call it our competition or any of that? Why don't we get a free shake to be able to get a part of that?
Yeah, that's dirty pool. I mean, that's pretty transparently dirty there. I think, listen, you guys are not able to freely compete with these other guys, and that they're holding the reins to that. I mean, you take that scenario and you put it in the realm of hamburger shops, and people are going to go crazy. What? I can't have my burger joint because Joe over there who owns a burger joint doesn't want me to have a burger joint? Well, of course he doesn't want me to have a burger joint, because I'm competing directly with him. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But Mike, think about the children. The children, Mike.
Yes. Well, no, this is... Go ahead.
I got something that I'd like to say about these guys. That Dan and Wade, when Inland Valley left, when he left, these guys come in and they pick this department up because they felt bad for the people that had already paid for their subscriptions for fire protection, and they wanted to take care of them. So they picked this department up, they built it from scratch, they started taking care of the people. And why do they do that? Because they care. They care about their community. They walk down the street every day, people see them and wave, they know who they are, they know who their families are, and both of these guys, their families are involved, their kids are involved, their wives are involved, they all are involved in this fire department. And they're doing it because they want to help their neighbors and their friends and Josephine County residents and the people visiting here. They're not here to make $1 million. They're here to take care of They're doing what is right. That's what
Well,
they're doing.
listen, you'll never get an objection from me if you did want to make $1 million. You're totally fine. Listen, I'm a capitalist. You know what? If that's, but the point here is that you should be able to compete freely with your competitors. And I think from what I'm seeing here, and unless I'm missing part of this puzzle, there's an organization that is blocking you from membership, which then blocks you from a whole bunch of things. Now, let me ask you about the standards. Have you received the draft of the standards that the county is considering?
No.
No, wait a minute. Lang Johnson
Well,
said that he got the draft. You guys didn't get a draft?
we got the first draft, we got the draft that came certified.
By Jenny Hall on the day before Labor Day. So
Right.
Friday
Now,
is when we received it.
Lang Johnson asked that question at the county commissioners meeting. Everybody can see that. We've already posted that. And he said, no, I don't think I have the latest version. And then he was informed, well, that is the latest version. We haven't given anybody the second version of that. So you may have that. He was confused, too.
Yeah. So they may well have. So is there anything on this version of the rules and regs or whatever? Is there anything on that you guys somehow don't measure up to?
Well, one of the things, the first thing that concerns me is that on the first page, section 2B, it says, this ordinance authorizes Josephine County to provide regulations that may be more stringent than any adopted by other governmental agencies or entities. So
that was my original question. Yes. What's up with that? Why?
Yeah. So are they saying that what they're writing isn't thorough enough, and so that they want the opportunity to increase it?
Arbitrarily?
Because we're such a unique area. We're such a unique area that we have to have different fire standards for safety of your home than anywhere else in the country.
Absolutely. Every other fire department in the nation runs for NFPA, OSHA, and their revised statutes. And everybody else is running that way. Why isn't this one?
So to continue on with your, and page 6, under section 9, subsection B, and then it goes through a list of 9, 10, 13, I believe, is what they're trying to say that are the rules and regulations. I mean, you look down at number 5 and number 6, and it talks about DPSST, which stands for the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. Okay, as an organization that the police officers, security, so our security side is part of the DPSST. But for the fire department, it's a different division. For the fire department side, it is a voluntary organization. So there's no fire department, and there's fire departments that are on the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association that are not a part of the DPSST rules and regs. So as we look at that, say, we still think it's a great organization, and we are actually moving forward with that organization to get accredited through them. And so it's been a long process, and we hope here in the month of October, November, we can get that accreditation complete. But in order to look at this document and say, you're going to require something from the state that's voluntary for most fire departments, it falls back to saying, that they have the right to now say they're going to hold us higher than any other government agencies, because government agencies don't have to sign up to DPSST. But now they're saying in Josephine County you do.
Mike, you remember that part where Keith Heck was asking a question on yesterday's, and you can go look at Sunday, just click on Sunday on our website. And he was saying, well, something about availability at each station 24 hours, and Lang Johnson said, well, no, nobody meets that. Yeah. Now, how can that be a minimum standard? A minimum standard. Think of those words. If nobody meets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says a minimum, and I have it highlighted here on my page, a minimum 24-hour on-duty staffing by station. They started backpedaling and saying, oh, no, we're not going to require that. Okay, if you're not going to ready it, why is it in these?
Why is it in?
That's a good question. Okay,
so
what do these guys? What do they have against you? Let's get to the bottom line here. Why don't they like you?
We staff our station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. this station is staffed.
So this draws you to saying, all right, the other guys have 7 stations, and there are only 3 that are manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you, Mike, as a taxpayer, as now subscribed to whoever you have to subscribe to, if they now have to go from 3 stations to 7 stations and have enough personnel to staff all of those stations on a 24-hour basis, and again, this is hypothetical, that guess where your price would have to go in order to cover the cost of the pay of the firefighters?
Yeah, that'd be up.
Okay, all right. So gentlemen, we're coming close to the end of our time because we've been going for now about 24 hours. Why, I'm going to ask you again, why don't they like you? What's the problem? And let's just be human about it. What's their problem? Why don't they like you?
We have no idea. No idea whatsoever. We've tried to talk to them. We went to the Chiefs Association meetings. We wanted to, we're all here for the same purpose. The fire service used to be a great, big, huge family. Everybody in the fire service, everybody in the police service, everybody was together. They were tight. We were a family. And it's not that way anymore. And what we've done, we have no idea. None whatsoever.
I think it's Wade. I think Wade has just his attitude.
Yes.
It's just got everybody all upset.
Yes.
Yeah?
Well, one thing I just want to add to the end here is that at that meeting, Chief Lang, he calls the safety card. Okay. One last point, and I'll shut up because I've done way too much talking. And in a nutshell,
Is that recorded?
And so
Yes, I do it all the time. So we're brothers on this. Yeah.
Yes.
we have a radio agreement with the Oregon Department of Forestry. Okay, Oregon Department of Forestry is a part of the Chiefs Association. We got invited to the Oregon Department of Forestry, signed a radio agreement to talk on a specific channel. Like, oh, excellent. So then, because OSHA requires you to have a common communication ground. So as we go out to a grass fire, we want everybody on the same channel. So we signed this agreement with them. It was within 5 days after that, we get called back to the Oregon Department of Forestry and said, hey, we can't allow you to use that channel because the city of Grants Pass and rural metro are already on that channel, and they heard us on there. And since the ODF does not own that channel solely, that is a part of the Rogue Valley Chiefs Association, and they are concerned about that. So we have to change a new channel. So now we have to say, all right, we got to reprogram our radios to a different radio frequency that we can only talk to ODF, not the city of Grants Pass or rural metro, so that only talk to ODF on that channel, so we can't be on the same channels. And we're like, how's that safety? Where's the safety card?
Yeah, no, how nice. That's, you know what, this is, the more that I learn about what goes on politically in this county, the more it just seems that there's one story after another like this. Now, is there a possibility that they connect you with the lesser reputation that Inland Fire had before you? Am I right in assuming that the leadership of this entire organization has rotated?
Correct. There is not a piece of equipment in this firehouse. There is no involvement by any of the Inland, Dave Marks and his wife and those guys. There's no involvement whatsoever. And that was one of the agreements when we took over that station, because of the way he treated the citizens and the attitude that he had, and the way he left was very unprofessional. So
there were some problems with Dave. Yeah, right. There was. Yeah. Listen, now the county commissioners are involved in this now up to their necks. And you thought that they were going to have a meeting a while back at the weekly business session on Wednesday about this, and now you've been telling people that there's going to be a meeting on Wednesday, this Wednesday's weekly business session. You realize that that's not on the agenda for this Wednesday, right?
Right. We've sent out emails, did a phone tree, and we have put out stuff to try to get everybody notified that that date has been changed. We've actually even put together a town hall meeting here at the station come Wednesday night, and then trying to get them informed and give them copies of what the draft is at this time, and to give public input so that our public can be heard. That's all we want is for them to be able to reach the county commissioners and let them know what their thoughts are.
Well, with Mike's permission, I've got a final question to ask you guys.
I concur. Go ahead.
Okay. I asked you this question, Dan, in the hallway following the meeting with the county commissioners. Is someone trying to put you out of business?
It appears that way. When Jenny Hall, and you saw it at that meeting, talked about a franchise, and that franchise was referenced to Dutch Brothers, and that there are many franchisees, and everybody can sign in to be a franchisees of Dutch Brothers. I don't know if you saw me when I held up my Dutch Brothers cup because I was having a Dutch Bros. I says, if I went to Travis and says, hey Travis, can I open up a franchise of Dutch Brothers here in Grants Pass? What would his response be like?
Yeah.
That's already covered. So if this franchise that they say that can be open to 50 fire departments, why would they ask for a map of your coverage area if they all overlap already? Because we're in the same location as what rural metro's in. So if it's a franchise and you go by the typical franchise agreements that they have with the trash service, or if they have like with AMR, there's no other ambulance companies in this town, right? Because they have a franchise agreement. There's no other trash. You can't have ABC Trash Company come out to your house to pick up your trash because there's one company who owns a franchise. So
Right.
If it's not a franchise, quit saying that in your document. If it's not an ordinance, don't say it's an ordinance. If it's rules and regulations, call it what it is and make it clear and plain and simple to follow and no bias. And if that was written, then I wouldn't feel so partial. But if they consult 5 out of the 6 fire departments and write this, and we're number 6, I start to feel a little off.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for filling us in on the details. We're going to follow up on this story with you. We've got a lot of people in the community who are pretty upset about this, and my personal opinion is, with Cheryl Walker at the base of this, I already really wonder what's going on.
Free market choice and competition. That's what that's what it's about in my book, and I think we ought to be able to freely do that. You have to wonder who's getting paid here. Where's somebody taking some money under the table or something? Something's going on here. This is an anti-competitive practice, and it ought to stop. And listen. If you're watching this and you want to give these guys some pro bono representation, or you never know, they might even want to pay for it. I think somebody ought to look into this, because I don't think it's legal.